Hi, I'm Sara and she's Trixie, and this is our yarn world, a place where we come to share with you our love for crafts and the mental grounding that it gives us.
Yes.
So grab something hot to drink and let us get into our whips.
Yes. And today I'm shaking it up a little bit. We're drinking the Yogi tea, the Egyptian licorice mint. So
I'm just having hot cocoa because I'm lazy. And I don't care for tea.
So why don't you start with your
Mine.
something?
Update from last time. Just to clarify, we missed a session of videos. So normally we're going to be doing this about twice a week.
No, twice a month.
Oh, yes. Every 2 weeks.
Yes.
My bad. We're going to be doing this once every 2 weeks. And we missed a session due to my household getting corona. We had to isolate, and we did, and we're all okay now, but quarantine caused us to have to miss a session. Yes. And so we're trying to time this. Luckily, we hadn't posted the first one yet, so we were able to wait and make it work so it doesn't look like anything's wrong. But the reason why I'm saying this is because I have a lot of finished objects that wouldn't look. I'm not superhero. You know, I'm not a speed demon. I wouldn't have been able to get all this all done
in 2 weeks.
And yeah. So here is the socks that I have been telling you guys about. They are completed. They are
so pretty.
And yes, they are adorned with a flower. And
That's what she wanted.
And they have a braid on the front. But they are both done. I just have to block them. But I officially got all the loose ends tied off and everything done yesterday, so I'll be able to block them. I just wanted them to be able to show them to you before I did so. And so that's the first one. And my second finished object is a Christmas present to one of my nephews, so, you know. He is a huge Nintendo fan, and so I made a Mario.
Isn't he cute?
This was a pattern that I found for free. I looked up free Mario patterns on Pinterest, and this was the one that came up to me. I cannot remember the creator's name. I forgot to write it down. But if you look it up on Pinterest, there's a link to this one, and you should be able to see it. It's pretty popular, and it's free. So if you would like to follow along, it was pretty simple. Assembly was the hardest thing, but if you have done Aragurumi before, or if you have done dolls before, you should be able to figure this one out. So this one is to my nephew Nicholas, and his brother is going to be getting a Bowser. He is a work in progress right now. But yeah, there's that.
So cute.
I do have another one. When I was actually in quarantine, I was just desperate to have anything to do. I was just trying to find anything, and I was going through all my yarn, and I found this little kit that I didn't even know I had. I don't even think I told you about this. It was it was supposed to be a little natural spa kit. That it had all the yarn that you needed inside of it. You know, I think it's cotton yarn. It's creme de la creme yarn. I do not know at what colorway. I thought I could check. It is not saying. It's just a worsted weight yarn. I think this is actually called the Sandy print. That would make sense. It's pretty fun khaki with some natural colors in there. And it has these different patterns, both in crochet or knit, depending on your preference, to make a washcloth, a poof, a handmade poof, a face squeegee thing for probably makeup, like to wipe stuff off. And I do believe this is a soap cover bar.
Yeah.
It's a cover for a soap bar so that you can lather it probably.
Yeah.
And I started this during quarantine. I just figured I'd do a small project every once in a while, and I made in the crochet form one of their washcloths. It's not blocked, so that's why it's curling up, but it was very fun and relaxing during everything going on. So those are my finished projects.
I'm gonna show my work in progress real quick. This remember the shawl I was working on? Well, I ended up ripping that right out, frogging it, because it was too much for me, and it wasn't coming out the way I wanted. And I can try over, but I did end up using the yarn in this Afghan that I'm making, and so that's right here. That's the yarn for that. But I'm going striped, so it's variegated solid, variegated solid. So
Are you using up all your
my scraps? It's just a scrap project. So yep, that's where I'm at right now.
It is doubled, so this is not the full length of
This
it.
this is going to be the size of a single bed. Yeah, a single bed.
Yeah.
So it will have the curvature over the sides and over the end of the bed, but it's big enough for that. And so I'm working on it every spare minute, because it is for somebody for they're having surgery, major surgery in January, and I wanted to have it completed and sent to them. They live in California, so it needs to be able to have time to get there before he goes into surgery, so he knows that when he gets home he's got something to snuggle up with and get better with. Yeah, and I'm praying while I'm doing it so that he'll have a prayer blanket as well. So yeah. So what else do you have?
I have a couple whips. Like I said, I am making a Bowser to match the Mario that I have. My nephews are they're brothers. One of them prefers Mario, the other one prefers Bowser, so I'm making them in separate, but I'm making it, but it's a lot of small little pieces. They are not together yet, so it would not be worth me showing you that, but that's something that I have going. Another thing I have going is what is called a knot pillow. So it is an actual knot, and its full finished form, it will be a knot, but it will be soft enough to be a throw pillow. And
so cool.
The design is you get a material that you like. This is that velvet yarn.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Is that
I
the
love
Bernat?
the soft
Is it
Bernat
velvet yarn? And what you do is you pretty much create a tube, a very long tube, and I have to make 14 feet of this tube. But so it takes some concentration. But you just stuff it as you go, and when it's done, the tutorial has it where it will teach you how to properly put it in its knot. And so it'll be like a 3-dimensional fun throw pillow for a
really
couch.
awesome.
And they actually suggested this yarn, and I had it because my husband bought it for me.
Yeah.
So I decided I would use it up in that way.
And I did figure out, the last video we did say that James, her husband, had bought the Bernat, and he bought 6 skeins of it. It was 75% off. So it was actually for three skeins, which are usually $10.99 a skein, it came out to $7.50 for 3. And so
it was a crazy deal.
So blessed when he did that.
It was a crazy deal. And
it's so soft. And
it's going to be so much fun to have, just toss around. My kids are going to love it.
Yes.
And in the spirit of getting a new home and having to start some of it from scratch, I am doing more than just a throw pillow, especially with this project. So this one is a poof ottoman that I do believe the reason they call them poofs is just because it is a fabric, full-on fabric ottoman. So it's like crocheted or knit, and it still has the structure of an ottoman. It's used for an ottoman, but it's pretty much like the consistency of a very, very firm pillow, but it's like it's big enough to be an ottoman. It's the dimensions of it. And I had the Bernat blanket yarn, and this is big. So this is what the dimensions of the poof is gonna be.
Wow.
And now I am just making the
that is awesome.
What is it, like this is the walls, I guess, around, and then I have to make the top for it. I'm not fully ready to call it tall enough yet, but I am cabling, doing, this is being crocheted, so like front post cables, so that it has some dimension to it. But my kids rule the living room, and so I didn't want hard furniture for footing.
Right.
And my husband is a blanket-aholic, so I have plenty of stuffing to put in this thing.
Right.
So I knew I had the stuff for it. Now, side note, I am capable of finishing a project and moving on one at a time. Part of the reason that I have so many projects is because quarantine sucks, and when you are stuck at home and you want to get stuff done and you're inspired as crazy because you have nothing to look at but your house and you want to finish and actually create stuff for it, I started all these projects just to find out that I didn't have enough yarn. So I kept starting projects, and halfway through found out I didn't have enough yarn. Now you would say, Sarah, why would you continuously make a project? I was desperate. Quarantine is not fun. I'm sure not enough of you know that, but I have a 2-year-old, an 11-month-old, soon to be 11-month-old.
Actually, today.
Oh, it is today? Well, he's 11 months old today, and they have a lot of energy, and they run around, and yes, he runs, and it has been an endeavor to, because me and my husband being knocked down the way we were, and them having nothing but energy, it was a lot of energy to keep up the fight, you know, the good fight of just being that parent that acts like they're not sick. And my recharge, because I didn't really get too much opportunity to recharge, was sitting down with a project that I could enjoy and know that I would enjoy the outcome of. And I was listening to audiobooks, and I actually, during the whole entire time I was quarantined, I listened to The Lord of the Rings, all 3 books straight in a row.
Wow.
While getting projects like this done. And so
that's a lot.
Yeah. And do I have another project? I do. The same lady that wanted me to make those socks that I finished wants another set of socks. These are a little bit more normal. That probably sounds mean. She just has a very, very more...
unique taste.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. This is going to be a little bit more normal, so it is just gray accented socks with a blue-gray ombre.
That's pretty.
So, like, the heel and the tip and the cuff will be gray, whereas this will stay the ombre all the way through.
Yeah.
For the footed sock and the leg part of the sock. So, I have these in the works as well. So I have my crochet projects and my knit projects and my detail projects. Obviously, I think that these are something that she is okay with me waiting till after Christmas to finish, so I can finish my Christmas projects, because I have 3 nephews and I've only mentioned 2 of the things that I'm making for 2 of them, and I still have to make the other one's Christmas gift. I have 2 weeks.
You should tell what you're going to make them.
I'm making him a shark hat. So I wanted to make each one of them a amigurumi, you know, a doll, a figure, for their interests. Well, he didn't really have one. And I'm sitting there and I keep asking his mom, something, you gotta give me something. I'm just begging my sister-in-law to give me something, and she's just like, he likes dogs and he likes, you know, service, like firefighter, policeman stuff. And I'm just like, I could do a Dalmatian with
right.
With a firefighter hat, or I could do a a German Shepherd with maybe a cop hat on it.
Right.
But the thing is that he is the oldest of the 3, and I felt that I was giving the other 2 more efforted gifts than that. And so I was around him a lot, and I was just kind of picking up on things, and all of a sudden, when he came to see me with his mom, he was wearing one of his Corona masks, and it had a shark on it that was attacking. And I was like, wait a minute, I can make him something with a shark. And I went on Pinterest, and I was like, shark projects, and this hat came up. It is on the attack, and so it looks like it's gobbling your head.
It's gonna be good.
So the rim is red for the gums, and you'll see teeth poking out of it, and that's its mouth, and then you'll have its eyes and the fin. And I'm making it like almost like a Santa hat, where it has like it comes down to a point with the fin on the back.
Oh, cool.
And so it have, you know, the 2 flippers on the side with the top one, and then its actual tail flap.
Oh, that's
and
so
it'll
cool.
have its gills, and it'll have bobbly eyes that look angry, and it will be eating his head. And so that shouldn't take me too long, because it will be knit. Right. And knit kind of is quicker for me, so I am hoping to get that done. I'm really focusing on getting the Bowser done, then get straight to the to that hat. Some of these projects that
have to be on the back burner.
Are going to be on the back burner. The reason why that I had other projects that I had mentioned in the last video, that the reason why they're not finished, because I could have gotten them done during quarantine. Like I said, I didn't have the yarn. So you will see those down the line, hopefully in the next couple of videos, being completed works. Like the virus blanket, I didn't have the yarn. And there's only so much that I was comfortable buying during quarantine, because when
you don't want to be out.
Well, it's not that as much as when you're in quarantine and you're shopping online, you get addicted. Because it's an endorphin rush to feel like you're still living outside in the world when you're really not.
Right.
And I knew that if I went on Joanne's site, our money would be gone. Right. And so I was like, you know what? We're going to be good. We're going to wait. And so I'm just focusing on the important things. So I do believe that that's all that I have to share in that aspect.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll go on to the scripture of the day.
Okay.
So what I have is 1 Thessalonians 4:11 and 12. And this is one of my favorites. It's been my favorite for years for any kind of crafting that I've done. But it says, make it your goal to live quietly, to mind your own business, to work with your own hands as we instructed you, so that you may win the respect of outsiders and have need of nothing. That to me is crafting. Any kind of craft that you can do, you're doing it with your mind and your hands, and you're doing it. Sometimes it's going to be noisy. Like my husband works with wood and it's loud machinery, but a lot of them are quietly, meditatively working along, making things like we do with yarn. It's quiet. It's something that you can just take along with you. It's portable. And that's what I've been doing everywhere my husband and I have been going. It's a project that I just bring along so that I can get a couple more rows done. When I get home, I grab it out again after supper and start getting more rows done until bedtime, because it's something that needs to be done. I have a deadline, and I want it to be there for him when he does have his surgery. But to get back to this, it says that you win the respect of outsiders and you have need of nothing. If you can make this into something that you can
sustain yourself.
Yes, like the Proverbs 31 woman, she was able to get the yarn, to dye the yarn, to make the things that her family needed, the clothing and such, with that, and then she made extra to sell. And
it's a provision.
Yeah. So when you have need of nothing, it means that God is with you, providing that talent, that thing that purpose that He gave you, and then when you can make money on top of it, He's providing that way as well, and you have need of nothing when that happens. And it's just a goal that we need to set, to have every day something that you can do with your hands, to relieve your mind and to sit there quietly. And as I'm making this blanket for this person, I'm praying that all will be well, that the doctor's hands will be guided, that he will come out of this with flying colors, and that he will recover quickly, and that he will get his life back, because when all's said and done, it should relieve whatever's ailing him. And that is my goal for that. And it just speaks it all right there in that one verse. I'm going to read it one more time for you. Make it your goal to live quietly, to mind your own business, and to work with your own hands as we instructed you, so that you may win the respect of outsiders and have need of nothing. 1 Thessalonians 4:11 and 12.
I have, my token from God has been His faithfulness. Like this, He doesn't leave you without the tools to actually get through this life. Sometimes you think a talent isn't really a tool, but it is. He doesn't give you these gifts and these abilities without a purpose. We talked last week about it being a means to some sort of stability and anchor in your life.
Yes.
And He gives it to you in that way. He gives it to you in this means of being able to provide and have a means of constructive outlet so that you have needed nothing, because you're able to do it and be independent, not of him, but so that you aren't lacking.
Or relying on others for whatever it is that you need.
Yeah, and like for me, one of the things that have been speaking to me a lot recently, you talk about, the ability, I have been very blessed with, being able to make these socks for this person. Sadly quarantine had slowed that down, but quarantine has brought a lot on me. I shared my story with you guys in the last video about the circumstances I had with having to move out, and out of a rush, and with go to my mom's house until we got this place. Well, the other place was still sitting over our heads while we got this place, and it's...
2 rents is never fun.
Well, that wasn't supposed to be the case.
Right.
So what happened is we had a seller lined up, and the park denied him the day that the rent was due, and he had promised to pay that month's rent because he had plans on living there by then.
Right.
And he told me that there should be no reason that he shouldn't get it. And he knew that morning that he had not been approved and never contacted me. So by the time I knew that he wasn't going to be able to get it and wasn't planning on paying for it, which I understand that. Like, don't get me wrong, I understood why he wasn't going to pay for it. It was a late charge on top of that rent, on top of the new rent, and this place is nicer, which means that it costs a little bit more, and we had extended our savings, and family was able to make a way. I'm very blessed with the family that I have. That was another form of God's faithfulness, to be able to meet that need of helping us with an unexpected rent.
Yes.
And I was sitting there being like, God, we can't just live with this place over our heads. And what was a blessing to, what was starting to become feeling like a burden, I knew it would be someone else's blessing. We just had to see and wait. And God literally dropped in our hands someone who was willing to pay for it, was willing to help me move stuff out, even though I was stuck in quarantine at the time when the sale happened.
Yes.
She willingly took on the payment, was willing to help me get my stuff out of there, understanding my circumstance, and we properly social distanced during this, of course,
and masked.
And masked and everything, but she pulled everything out into the main room so that I was able to, that was left, and had helped me box it all on her own time to help get me out of there. And that is God.
That is God.
That is God. Because I don't know how that place was able to be sold the way that it was, in the state that it was, and with the information that was given to us at the time as to why it ended up that way. Because the answers of the circumstance had showed right as I was walking out the door.
Exactly. And it was not the storage unit at all.
Yeah, what my mom's referring to is we thought that my stuff had gotten infected by a storage unit with the cockroaches that ended up infesting my old place. It was not that. It was a neighbor who, I don't know what circumstances she was living under, but her place was condemned during the time that I was moving out, and that was a shock to me because she was a very nice neighbor. And she never let me know. And our whole entire street, that whole entire street, is now infected. We got out at the time that we did.
Right.
It has been a blessing. Luckily, the owner that has taken it over, because everything was out of the trailer, was able to properly get it clean. So she should be fine.
Right.
And it was a blessing to prayer for her to get this place, because her husband, her boyfriend, who is a contractor, is actually able to fix everything that was needed.
Nice.
And it's only them. I do believe they're in their 50s.
Yeah.
So now that's just them. They only needed that. Right. And they were getting out from under a bigger payment down to a smaller payment, and that was a blessing to them. So it met another need, and you just, now we're settled here. Now it's just a matter of getting through all the unpacked stuff and settling in. And quarantine was scary during that time, but God was faithful again. My husband has a heart issue, so when the corona hit us, I was sitting there being like, God, be faithful, show, like, not that he has anything to prove necessarily, but I just needed that foundation.
Tithers' rights.
And he proved himself faithful.
Yes.
And I am very, very grateful. And I just want to encourage you, no matter what's going on, if you're in quarantine watching this, if you are trying to find something as an anchor, or trying to find your own talent to be able to live off of that God has given you, please remember that God will provide, God will show you the way. And do realize that, this way of talents, when Joseph was taken and captured after his brothers had dropped him off, he had a talent, and that was organization. That was the ability to plan and think ahead. And so by the time he went through the whole trials with Potiphar, and he eventually interpreted those dreams for those prisoners and made his way to Pharaoh, he saved a whole nation. He helped save a whole nation. Sometimes your gifts are in the workplace. Sometimes they don't look like this, but realize that your gifts are tools that God has given you. God has not given you, put you in this boat of life with the storms that everything has happened without the oars. You just have to remember that God has gifted you these abilities, and sometimes you have to remember that you're okay. God is faithful. He's going to meet your need, and everything will be okay in the end. And I would like to encourage that if anyone has any prayer requests, you can feel free to email us. We will link our email in the bio, and we would be happy to pray for you, or comment down below.
Yeah. Leave them in the comments.
And share your whips and projects, and what are you making for Christmas for people. We would love to see that. We would love to be able to share that with you as we've been sharing it with us.
And rejoice with you over everything that you've made, because it is a rejoicing time of year.
Yes.
To rejoice over those things accomplished.
Yes. And to close out a year that has been
long.
A long season.
Long.
So I would like to say, I hope that this helps you.
Yes.
I hope that this blesses you, this fellowship that we've had together. And I hope that your days and your nights go easier.
Yeah.
As I know that these seasons that we go through of loneliness, as the seasons come for Christmas and the holidays, and being quarantined, being away from family is not easy during this time of year.
Right.
And maybe
things are all different now.
And maybe you've lost some people.
Yeah.
You're not alone.
Yep.
Even if it's a stranger like us, we're here for you.
Right.
And we hope and are blessed that if we see you again in your living room somewhere, if we're visiting you from wherever, know that we're excited to be with you, and that we will be with you if no one else is able.
Yes.
So expect us in another 2 weeks, and I call you blessed. And please
stitch your way to better health, or mental health.
Mental health.